Hello, family, friends, and subscribers. Welcome back to the reading of Personal Magnetism, Psychic Influence, Thought Force, Concentration, Willpower, and Practical Mental Science by William Walker Atkinson. Have you found a golden nugget in these lessons? I learned a new word, concentering. I almost read it as concentrating and did a double take, realizing probably that I've seen this word. Maybe. But if I did, obviously it did not stick. I wonder now if I was not concentrating at the time. No pun intended. I looked at the word a second time and thought perhaps that the author was making up words. You know, authors like to do that every now and then. Well, I'm not shy about exposing that I admit I don't know everything, and this explains the content of my channel. Things unknown, right? As I got into the chapter of concentering, the author did explain the meaning of the word. Plus, I did an Oxford Dictionary lookup where it was defined as to concentrate something in a small space or area. While I would not describe my brain nor yours as a small space, but I get it. I get the use of such a word when it comes to bringing one's thought to a center place. A powerful thing to do if one can master that technique. As far as William Walker Atkinson, I'm quite familiar with his works, of which you can find a few books here in my channel, such as Thought Vibration, The Human Aura, Astral Colors, I like that one, and The Kabbalion, and more. This book did not get into the technical aspects of the concept proposed, yet he laid out lessons in very simple, non-technical, non-science terms that would serve anyone, especially novices or those that just started on the quest of self-development, seeking to improve in the areas of concentration, poise, and willpower. And mind you, these are things that are very valuable in life, whether it's in your personal relationships, in your community, and in your work. If you are new to my channel and just found me at this video, welcome. I am Daisy, your hostess. Please make sure to visit my playlist for the earlier chapters and leave a comment. Let me know you stopped by. Despite my familiarity with the concepts, the takeaway for me were the practice lessons. A few were new and others served to sharpen my tools already in my toolbox. I must admit, I enjoy the circling back to old concepts. Some people may overlook them as just words, and what a folly to do that, for words are like unwrapped gift packages or napalm, one never knows. Here's a phrase to use for an exercise. Not that the author suggested it, I'm just offering it as a contemplation exercise. Contemplating on specific things is one of my favorite pastimes. Like, I'll think of a mechanical clock, right? And then I'll focus on one component of it. Perhaps I'll think of maybe one of the gears, and I'll just sit there and kind of visualize it and ponder the value and the wholeness that it offers to the completeness of the mechanical clock. And these types of exercises are very humbling for me, as it serves to remind me that everyone is important. So I practice them often, since I appreciate the details of things. And so I offer you this one phrase to contemplate its truth, because in contemplation we can see how it resonates for us, and once we can see that we've experienced something, then guess what? No one can pull that emperor's new clothes on you, right? Because you know when truth is in front of you, because you have experienced it. So anyway, here's the phrase. Anything is yours if you only want it hard enough. And think honestly of a time that you wanted something. It could have been trivial, yet value is not what matters here with this exercise. What matters is, what the focus is, to remember the desire that you had in wanting it and the means and mindset that you used in obtaining it. And obviously, the wonderful feeling that you had when you did. It doesn't matter that it may have died down, the feeling, because that's how we're designed to seek and then enjoy and then seek higher, right? And by the process of logic, if in the past you were able to obtain something you wanted, what is stopping you now? Think of it. My dear ones, thank you for indulging me in this brief chat. I will not hold you any further. I now turn the page. Enjoy. Lesson 12. Character Building by Mental Control. The student who has read the preceding lessons has doubtless said, after reading some of the statements contained therein, "Yes, that is all true enough, and I could accomplish these results if I but possess the necessary qualities of mind and character." This seems to be the great stumbling block to many. They know just what is necessary to produce success, but because they do not possess just the characteristics of the successful men, they fancy that the prize is beyond their reach. There's no greater mistake in the world than this false belief, this kind of fear thought, this lack of recognition of the power of the I am. Man can so mold his mind by the power of the will that he can make of himself practically what he will. He can make over himself without a doubt. A man is just what he wills himself to be. This is a bold statement, but it is absolutely true, and we have hundreds of instances of it in every city in this land. Hundreds of men can testify to its correctness, and many hundreds of others are on the road. Regeneration is no idle dream. It is a living truth. You will realize just what this means if you will stop to consider that every effect has its cause. Business success is due to certain qualities of mind, character, or temperament. Of these three qualities, the first is the only real one, as the last two are but the results of the first. Those who have given qualities produce the given result. Those lacking the said qualities fail to obtain the result. When once you realize that these qualities are within your grasp, that you can make them a part of yourself, you will readily see the wonderful possibilities are open to you. The acquirement of these qualities is the key to the situation. You know just what these necessary qualities are: energy, ambition, determination, courage, confidence, perseverance, patience, prudence, and the rest of the list. All persons possess some of these qualities and lack others. Some are strong in some of these qualities and weak in others. And every man instinctively knows in just what respect he falls short. He may not admit it to his friends or even to his wife, but deep down in his inner consciousness lurks the knowledge of the truth. If he could acquire the missing qualities by a mere wish, he would know just what to wish for. No doubt about that. But he lacks the confidence and perseverance thought to be necessary for the requirement or acquirement of that which he knows he needs. He is not willing to pay the price of attainment. If some great scientist announced to the world that he had discovered some wonderful chemical combination or some new serum that would develop the shrunken and atrophied faculties of the mind, and which would render a man strong in the qualities wherein heretofore he had been weak, what a rush there would be for the new regenerator. Thousands would want it, and every man would be able to tell just what brand of serum he needed. He would need no diagnosis or prescription for that. Every man would be able to diagnose his own case and enter the serum indicated by his symptom. One would want triple extract of energy, another the stick-to-it brand, another the vial bearing the confident I can label, and so on. They would all know that if they could get the proper kind of serum, they would be able to round out their characters and command success. Now, there is no drug that will produce this result, and there never will be. But the desired result can be obtained by the operation of the law of mental control. I can give you but a general idea of the workings of this great law. But if you will pay attention to what I have to say on the subject, you will grasp the principle and will be able to work out your own salvation. The first point to remember is that we are all creatures of habit, bodily and mentally. Our characteristics are largely the results of habits of thought. We may have inherited impulses which make it easier to form certain habits and more difficult to form others, and we consequently move along the lines of the least resistance. But the character is, after all, the result of certain acquired habits. We follow well-worn mental paths in preference to making new paths through the woods, even although we know that the new path would be the better by far, and that it would be as easy to travel over as the present one when it was finally formed. We know all this. It's an old story. Then why do we not start in to make the new path? Simply because it is too much trouble. We lack the willpower, determination, and persistency to do it. I admit that it is no easy task, but think of the reward. These things are ancient history to you, of course, but I have something else to say to you on the subject that is not so antiquated. I propose to make you a present of a labor-saving path maker, which is guaranteed to clear away the underbrush and rubbish in but a fraction of the time, and with much less labor than the old plodding clearing away process. This new plan is very simple, but very effective, and will enable you to make yourself over without the ripping apart process attendant upon the old method. I will tell you about it in a few words as possible. I have already explained to you that your minds possessed two planes of effort, two functions, the active and the passive. The active function does the volitional, original thinking, whilst the passive function does only what it is told to do by the active function or by others. The passive function is the easygoing partner of the firm to whom I introduced you in a previous lesson. It is this part of the mind upon which hypnotists operate, after lulling to sleep the active function, the critical partner. The passive function, although in a sense the inferior, really rules us unless we know how to manage it. It is the habit functioning, the beaten track function, of whose existence we are all conscious. It is easily influenced, but nevertheless is set in its ways. Tell it a thing over and over, something which you wish it to believe, and it will end up in accepting the new thought and being as set in the new notion as it was in the former one. This is the secret of breaking up the habits of thought, action, disposition, character. The suggestion upon which the passive function acts may come from your own active mind or from the mind of another. This is the explanation of the beginning of a habit, good or bad. To break up old thought habits and to replace them with new habits of thinking, one or more of several plans may be used. One may accomplish the result by sheer force of will, another by hypnotic suggestion from an experienced qualified operator, another by what is known as auto-suggestion given by your active to your passive mind, a fourth by that which I will term thought absorption. Breaking up thought habits by sheer force of will is a most difficult task, as most of us know, for we have all tried it. It is a plan by which only the strongest succeed, whilst the weaker are defeated and relinquish the effort, experiencing additional discouragement and despair. We accomplish this result by the strengthening of the will, or more correctly by the strengthening of the active function of the mind by the will, enabling it to step in and simply command the passive function to drop the old thought habit and adopt the new in its place. It is a magnificent feat, but very difficult of performance. The same result can be obtained by easier plans. The very habit of making the passive mind more amenable to the commands of the active function can be acquired by the easier plan of which I will speak in this lesson. The second plan, the changing of the thought habit by hypnotic suggestion, has been followed by many with excellent results, provided always that the operator was a proper person, thoroughly understanding his profession, and being fully acquainted with the latest methods of eradicating undesirable thought habits. In this connection, I would say that one should be very careful in whose hands they place themselves for treatment of this sort. One should not trust their case to a person just because that person could give hypnotic suggestion. One would not employ a man as cashier of a bank just because the applicant could keep books and count money rapidly. The third plan, that of producing the result by autosuggestion, is good, especially when accompanied by thought absorption. In autosuggestion, you simply keep on repeating to the passive mind the statement that the new habit exists, ignoring the old one. And the passive mind, although inclined to be a little rebellious at first, will eventually accept what you say as truth. It will adopt the new thought habit as its own thought, just as do some people under like circumstances. Autosuggestion is practically self-hypnosis of the passive mind by the active mind, It is a case of every man his own hypnotist. The third plan, thought absorption, consists in the placing of yourself in a perfectly passive condition at frequent intervals and fixing the mind intently upon the idea or mental statement that the new habit exhibits. Picturing yourself by an effort of the imagination as a being possessed of the desired qualities. You should carry the thought with you continually, picturing yourself as possessing the desired habit. In every leisure moment, day and night, and in other ways acting out the belief. This is purely an action of the passive mind, assisted by the imagination. It seems very simple, but the results which have been attained by it seem like short of marvelous. It is by far the easiest and the one of the most effective methods of making over your character. The imagined thing becomes a reality in a comparatively short time, and action follows close upon the heels of thought. In my opinion, the combination of autosuggestion and thought absorption affords the ideal treatment in character building. If persisted in, it will accomplish the most marked result in a comparatively short space of time, the effect being felt from the very first. Do not pass over this lightly because it seems so simple. It is a secret worth thousands of dollars to you, and one which you would not part with for any money once you have experienced its benefits. I will now give you a brief explanation of the several methods above referred to. Let us take the fear, worry, thought habit as an illustration. It affords an excellent illustration as a bad habit of thought, for it does more to unfit one for the duties of life than all the rest of the bad thoughts combined, and also brings with it the vile brood of miserable weakening thought habits of which it is the parent. The man who has torn out by the roots the vile fear thought, worry thought, has progressed a long distance on the road to freedom. Fear thought never helped anyone, and never will. But it has wrecked the careers of thousands of men and women, paralyzing their energies, preventing their progress, enfeebling their minds, and diseasing their bodies. We all have felt it, and those of us who have banished it would not return to its thraldom under any consideration. Life is an entirely different thing to the man who has rooted out this noxious weed. He becomes an entirely different order of being. Most of the things we fear never occur, and the few that do occur can be routed by a bold front, aided by the strength which the absence of fear and worry imparts. The energy and vital force wasted on worry is more than sufficient to enable us to conquer our real troubles when they occur. You remember the tale of the old man on his deathbed giving his son good advice, who said, "John, I have lived 80 years and have had many troubles, the majority of which never occurred." The old man merely voiced the experience of all men or women who have lived to old age. The moral is obvious. I will suppose that you are a victim to fear thought, and I am very likely correct, and that you are about to try the 4 several plans of ridding yourself of it. I will suppose that you will try them in turn, one after the other. You will first try the power of the will, and will say to yourself, "I will not fear. I command fear to depart." This is the heroic remedy. I shall not go into details of this treatment. You know all about it already. You have all tried it. You will next try the effect of hypnotic suggestion, and will employ a good suggestionist who will place you in an easy position, cause you to relax every muscle, quiet every nerve, and assume a state of mental calm, and who, having secured your undivided concentration attention, will give you strong, repeated suggestions of fearlessness, courage, hopefulness, confidence, etc. The capable suggestionist will study each case closely and be carefully selected, and properly administered suggestions will plant the seed of the new thought habit, which is designed to supplant and crowd out the old one. Splendid results are obtained by this line of treatment. The writer has cured many persons of undesirable thought habits in this way when they felt that they preferred outside help. He has also used this form of treatment in order to get the patient started on the right mental path, to give him confidence in himself and in the efficacy of this form of mental development, and then instructed him in the theory and practice of autosuggestion and thought absorption, leaving him to finish the fight himself. You will then try the power of autosuggestion by constantly repeating to yourself the words, I am fearless, I am confident, I have abolished fear, I fear nothing, etc. These autosuggestions must be made earnestly, just as if you were suggesting to another person, and you must endeavor to live up to them. Let your passive mind see that you believe what you say, and it will have confidence in your statements, and accepting them as correct, will act accordingly. If you get about this practice in good faith and in earnest, you will notice an improvement from the first. You must remember, however, that if the passive mind thrusts a worry thought upon your consciousness, you must redouble your assertion of fearlessness until the intruder retreats. This may bother you at first, for the worry thought is pretty confident of a friendly reception, but like any other mangy cur, it will soon learn that you carry a club and will beat a hasty retreat at the mere sight of it. Carry this idea of the cur and the club in your mind, and you will have but little trouble with the brute. You will learn to despise the worry thought as you do the snarling, snapping cur, and will not hesitate to deal with him a good sound whack with your mental club, provided he stays long enough to be hit. He will soon retreat with his tail between his legs, and will thereafter manifest a wholesome respect for the club. Don't wait until he actually bothers you, but get in the habit of reaching out for the club at the first sight of the yellow hide of the mongrel. And now you are ready to try the effects of thought absorption. In this case, you place yourself in the suggestible, passive condition, just as you did at the bidding of the suggestionist when he was preparing to give you helpful suggestions. The more passive you become, the better will be the effect. In other words, you relax, let go, and become perfectly passive bodily and mentally. You thus relieve the active mind from duty and allow the passive mind to have undisputed control. You then carry the thoughts of I am fearless and the others above given calmly and firmly. You also picture yourself in your imagination as being fearless, acting fearlessly, having moral and physical courage, and as driving away the worry mongrel with your mental club. Give your imagination full scope, but hold it down to the desired line of thought. You will find the exercises in concentration most valuable here. You also will carry the thought of fearlessness with you at all the time, and endeavor to act the part naturally. I mean just what I say. Act the part just as does the actor when he assumes a role. The assumed character will soon become more real, and in time will be the real thing with you. After a little practice, it will become second nature to you, and eventually will become your real nature. As I have said before, the combination of thought absorption and autosuggestion forms the ideal treatment in character building. I will also close this lesson with a few exercises designed to aid you in thought absorption. Do not forget to practice the concentration exercises, but do not wait to master them before commencing your fight on the fear thought cur. Commence this fight at once. Cut your club today and just lay for the brute. Once you get him out of the way, and you will be able to pursue the study of this subject without the annoyance of having him around howling and yelping at you. The treatment for lack of energy, confidence, perseverance, etc. is identical with the directive for fear thought, the words of the autosuggestions and affirmations, of course, being altered to suit the particular case. The practice of thought absorption. 1. Find a secure, quiet place as far as possible removed from the scenes and sounds of the outside world. If the ideal conditions cannot be secured, you must content yourself with the best obtainable conditions. The idea is to shut out the distracting impressions and enable you to be alone with yourself. 2. Place yourself on a couch, bed, or easy chair, obtaining a position of absolute ease and comfort. relax every muscle. Withdraw the tension from every nerve. Allow yourself to be perfectly limp all over, from head to feet. Breathe deeply and slowly, retaining the breath for several moments before expelling it. Continue the deep breathing until a feeling of calm, restful quiet manifests itself. 3. Concentrate your whole attention inwardly upon yourself, shutting out all outside impressions. Concentration exercises will enable you to do this. 4. Having obtained the proper conditions of bodily and mental relaxation, fix your thought firmly, calmly, and steadily upon the word fearless, or whatever word you are working on, letting its outward form sink into your mind as the dye into the wax. Give yourself up to the thought and the word. Then think of the meaning of the word, the characteristics of a person possessing that quality. 5. Form the mental picture of yourself possessed of the desired quality. Act it out in your mind, as in a dream. Think of yourself doing certain things by reason of the possession of the quality. See yourself in your relations to other men and women, you being possessed of the desired quality. In short, indulge in a pleasant daydream, having for its theme your possession of the quality desired. Give your imagination full sway, merely insisting upon it sticking to the text, and it's always showing you successful in the scenes and occurrences of the dream. Always conclude this dream with a strong impression and thought of I am. This will give you additional strength and confidence. In fact, it is better to alternate the thought of the quality with the idea and recognition of the I am. 6. Repeat these exercises as often as possible. It is like the dripping of the water on the stone. The repeated thought takes root and grows rapidly. It is a good plan to practice this exercise when you retire for the night, and also during your waking hours at night, if you have any. The exercise will not keep you from slumber, but will rather tend to induce the desire for sleep. If you feel yourself dropping into a doze, do not resist it, as the impression which you carry with you into sleep will dwell with you and will do its work even while you are slumbering. In the above exercises, I have used the word fearless and its accompanying thought to illustrate the process of inducing thought absorption. You will understand that you are to use the word expressing the quality of which you are desirous of acquiring. If you wish to rid yourself of an undesirable quality, select the word expressing the opposite thought. For instance, if you're inclined to be indolent, select the word active or energy, etc., and so on. You must remember that when we wish to brighten a room, we do not have to drive out the darkness first. We merely open the blinds and admit the light, and lo, the darkness has departed. Do not bother about the undesirable thoughts, but concentrate on their opposites, and the positive will neutralize the negative. Do not become discouraged if the results do not come as soon as you would like. Remember, they are sure to come in time. All that you require is repeated practice. The mind can be developed just as can be the muscle, and by the same process, continued practice. You have been given the means of remedying your defects. If you do not avail yourself of its benefits, it is simply because you do not want to. If you have desire strong within you, you will do it. If you lack the strong desire, I cannot help you. If you prefer to sell your glorious birthright of mental control for the mess of pottage of present indulgence, that is your own business. You are your own master. Make of yourself what you will. Lesson 13. The Art of Concentering. The word concenter has its exoteric or common meaning and its esoteric or hidden meaning when used in connection with the exercise of the powers of the mind. The exoteric idea is the concentering of the mind upon the one particular thought or action. The exoteric idea is the concentering of the mind upon the one particular thought or action, inhibiting all outside thoughts or impressions. The esoteric idea is the concentering of the mind upon the ego, the I am, inhibiting all thoughts of the material body or of the grosser self, and dwelling in the higher regions of the soul. The first mentioned form of concentering is a most valuable acquirement for man in his everyday life. The second form is a most desirable acquirement for those who would know more of their real self and who aspire to know something of the secrets of the silence. In this lesson, I will speak exclusively of the practical side of concentering, that being the purpose of this work. I have, however, given the reader hints of the esoteric phase that he may know how to proceed if he is attracted to the same. The art of concentering upon a given thought or action is one of the most desirable acquirements which a man can possess. We have been told the advantage of doing a thing with all our might, and doing one thing at a time, and doing it well, etc. We all know of the painter who attributed his excellent work to the fact that he mixed brains in his paint, and of the miner who put a little brains into his pick. We know that the simplest task is better performed if we but combine concentered thought with the action. Workmen differ in degree according to the amount of concentered thought placed in their work. The man who takes an interest in his work and who finds an intellectual pleasure in his daily task is the man who does the best work and is also the happier man. The man who keeps his eye on the clock or who leaves his pick in the air at the sound of the whistle is a mere machine, and he will never amount to anything unless he changes his point of view regarding work. The man who thinks with his hands or who can carry a message to Garcia is in demand. He is a scarce article and many employers are looking for him. When will our boys learn to appreciate this fact? Well, what has all this to do with concentering? Just this, that the interest and brains that a man puts into his work is the result of an exercise of volitional concentering. The man who practices concentering in his daily life shuts out distracting impressions and gives his best thought force to the task before him, and does better work by reason thereof, whether he be day laborer, architect, clerk, salesman, poet, painter, or banker. Every man who has arrived has developed the art of concentering. He may not realize it, but he has, just the same. And more, any man who will develop the art of concentering will arrive. Try it and be convinced. Why, you can see it for yourself. It cannot help producing the result. If you concenter on a subject and hold the thought firmly, you cannot help doing the best work. And if you do the best work, you will receive the proper reward, providing you have the sense with which you were born and have not allowed yourself to be hypnotized into belief that you are a worm of the dust or a human doormat. If you do the best work, you will find a market for your services. If your present employer doesn't appreciate you, there are plenty of others who will. But you will have to do the work. Don't forget that. No man is going to be fool enough to pay you for something that you do not do. Oh no, he is not built that way, and he would not arrive if he did. But just the same, he will not permit you to leave his employ for that of his rival if you do the best work, and you will do the best work if you only will get down to the business and concenter. If you have been discouraged by your apparent lack of success in your vocation, just you learn how to concenter and do it. Spit on your hands and take a fresh grip a little higher up and pull for all you're worth. You just pull hard enough and something will be sure to give at the other end of the rope. Don't you waste your time complaining of the oppression of the capital and all that sort of thing. If you are a concentering man, capital will soon fall all over itself to secure your services or to buy your goods. Can't you see it, man? Of course you do. Well then, stop fooling around about it and get to work in earnest. Get a move on and hustle. If you refuse to accept the means of financial salvation now offered you, why, just lie around and be a human doormat all your life. Who cares? If a man is too lazy to be saved, why, just let him be the other thing. It serves him right. Some of you fellows need a man around you with a spiked club, with instructions to give you a good bang every time you slack up and engage in mental wool gathering. Stop your mooning and get down to business. Some people spend their life in dreaming of the hereafter, where they expect to spend their time loafing around the throne. Now, they're sure to be fooled about that. All nature is in motion, and God is working hard every day. And I believe that when you get to the other shore, you will be confronted with a sign having thereon inscribed the words, "No loafing permitted." If you take an interest in your work, you rob it of its terrors. Start in, man, and work out your own salvation from poverty and unhappiness. Do it, and do it now. The man who can concentre has at his hand a sure remedy for the blues. How? Why, just by shutting off the unpleasant thought and concentrating on a brighter subject. Now, don't say that you can't do this. You can do it if you acquire the knack. Thousands of people have found this plan a specific for the blues, discouragement, worry, fear, and the rest. Try it, and you will find that life will appear entirely different to you. Try it, and you will feel so good that you would not call the president your cousin. Try it, and you will feel the thrill of life along your keel, and will thank God that you are alive instead of cursing the day when you were born. You will do your work better, you will feel better, you will be better. Is it not worth the trial? You may have an idea that you know something about concentering. Well, maybe you do. Let's see. Take up a lead pencil and try to sharpen it properly. Take your time to it and turn out a first-class job. Now, see if you can concentrate on that pencil sharpening to the exclusion of all outside thoughts. Try to devote your best energy and thought to the task at hand. For the moment, live for the sole purpose of getting an A1 point on that pencil. Well, how did it feel? Pretty hard job, wasn't it? Yes, I thought so. You need practice, young man. Take up the exercises given in this lesson and go over them until you can do anything whatsoever without your thought wandering. Anyone can concentre upon an agreeable task, but just give them an unpleasant or monotonous job, and you will find that their thoughts will wander away in spite of them. That is, until they learn to concentre by an effort of the will. That is the test. The ability to concentre upon an unpleasant, unattractive, monotonous task. When you have overcome this trouble, you will know that you have broken the backbone of waste effort and lost motion. By concentering, you are able to focus your attention, thought, and energy upon a given thing, thereby obtaining the best possible results. The rays of the sun, when focused upon an object by means of a sunglass, produce a heat many times greater than the direct rays of the same source of light and heat. So it is with the attention. Scatter it, and you get but ordinary results. But focus it upon the thing to be done, and you obtain a wonderful amount of energy. The concentering man focuses his attention and thought force upon an object, and the result is that his every action, voluntary and involuntary, is in the direction of the attainment of that object. As I said in a previous lesson, a man can have everything he wants, if only he wants it hard enough. If his energies are focused upon a thing, to the exclusion of everything else, the force so generated and focused must bring the result. The moral of all this is, whatsoever you do, do it with all your might. Do it in earnest. Do one thing at a time, and do it well. In order to obtain the best results from the thought forces as explained in preceding lessons, you should acquire the art of concentering. By focusing the thought, you add to its strength, as a moment's reflection will show you. The exercises accompanying the preceding lessons should be accompanied by the exercises in concentering. These exercises are more or less tedious and monotonous, but you should persist in it until perfected. You will be repaid for your work by the conscious increase in your powers of concentering, which will be apparent from the first. There's one thing more that I wish to say to you before starting in with the exercises, and that is to point out to you the advantage of concentering as a means of mental and physical rest. If this was the only result obtainable by the exercises, it would be worth your while to acquire it. Suppose you feel completely tired out by some physical or mental labor and are sadly in need of rest. If you lie down, the thought which has been occupying your mind returns to haunt you and prevents your mind from obtaining the much needed rest. Now, the theory is that each thought calls into operation and activity certain sets of brain cells, the other cells, of course, taking a rest in the meantime. This being the case, you will see readily that when one set of the brain cells become utterly fagged out by excessive exercise and work, its only chance of getting an entire rest is for you to concentrate upon an entirely different line of thought, shutting out the cells which you have just tired out, and which are still vibrating with excitement from the strong impetus given them. By concentrating upon the new thought, the old cells are relieved from further work and obtain a much needed rest. These cells are hungry for work and may attempt to return to their task in spite of you, but if you once have acquired proficiency in the art of concentering, you have learned to master them. You doubtless remember the time when your brain felt exhausted by the hard work of the business day, but when you picked up an interesting novel, you became so interested in it that your old brain cells knocked off for a while, and when the novel was completed, you felt completely refreshed, notwithstanding the fact that the reading of the book was in itself no slight exercise of the mind. That is the theory. Now, put it into practice, and you will have no need to complain of mental overwork. You will be able to put thoughts off and on, like your coat, changing them whenever you see fit. I will now give you a few exercises, the practice of which will enable you to develop the power of concentering. In leaving these phases of the subject, I again would remind you that the underlying principle of concentering is the focusing of the attention upon a certain thought or action. Any exercise which will strengthen the faculty of volitional inhibition of non-essential thoughts will be of value. The exercises herein given being merely furnished as suggestions of others. Lesson 14. The practice of concentering. A. The first requisite of concentering is the ability to shut out outside thoughts, sounds, and sights, to conquer inattention, to obtain perfect control over the body and mind. The body must be brought under the direct control of the mind under the direct control of the will. The will is strong enough, but the mind needs strengthening by being brought under the direct influence of the will. The mind, strengthened by the impulse of the will, becomes a much more powerful projector of thought vibrations than otherwise, and the vibrations have much greater force and effect. In these exercises, I will begin with training the body to readily obey the commands of the mind. The first exercise, and one which must be mastered before the succeeding exercises are undertaken, is the control of the muscular movements. This at first may appear very simple, but a few experiments will convince you that you have much to learn. The following exercises will be of great benefit to you in acquiring perfect control of the muscles. A-1. Sit still. This is no easy task. It will at first try your powers of concentering to refrain from involuntary muscular movements, but by a little practice, you will be able to sit still, without a movement of the muscles, for 15 minutes or more. The best plan is to place yourself in an easy chair, assuming a comfortable position, then relax all over, and endeavor to remain perfectly quiescent for a period of 5 minutes. Continue this exercise until you can accomplish it with ease, and then increase the time to 10 minutes. After you have mastered the 10 minutes exercise, increase the time to 15 minutes, which is about as far as you need to pursue the exercise. You should not tire yourself with this or any other of our exercises. The better plan is to practice a little at a time, but as often as possible. Bear in mind that you must not sit in a rigid position. There must be no strain on the muscles. You must relax completely. This plan of relaxing will prove valuable to you when you wish to get a good rest after fatiguing physical exertion. It is an ideal rest cure and may be taken either sitting in a chair or laying down on a couch or bed. A2. Sit erect in your chair with your head up and your chin out and shoulders thrown back. Raise your right arm until it is level with your shoulder, pointing to the right. Turn your head and fix your gaze on your hand, and hold the arm perfectly steady for 1 minute. Repeat with the left arm. When you are able to perform this feat perfectly, increase the time to 2 minutes, then to 3, and so on until you're able to maintain the position for 5 minutes. The palm of the hand should be turned downward, this being the easiest position. By keeping the eyes fixed on the tips of your fingers, you will be able to see whether you are holding your arm perfectly steady. A3. Fill a wine glass full of water, and taking the glass between the fingers, extend the right arm directly in front of you. Fix the eyes upon the glass, and endeavor to hold the arm so steady that no quiver will be noticeable. Commence with 1 minute exercises and increase until the 5-minute limit is reached. Alternate right and left arms. A4. In your everyday life, endeavor to avoid a tense, strained condition of the muscles when you should be at ease. Endeavor to acquire a self-poised attitude and demeanor, cultivate an easy, self-possessed manner in preference to a nervous, strained, or over-anxious appearance. Mental exercise will help you to acquire the proper carriage and demeanor. Stop beating the devil's tattoo on the table or chair. Such actions indicate a lack of self-control. Don't tap on the floor with your foot, nor swing your feet backward or forward while talking or sitting. Don't rock backward and forward in a rocking chair as if you were working on a machine at so much an hour. Don't bite your nails, nor chew your lips or cheek, nor wiggle your tongue around in your mouth whilst reading or studying or writing. Don't wink or blink your eyes. Get rid of any habit of twitching or jerking of any part of the body, which may have become second nature to you. You can stop it easily by carrying the thought and practicing concentering. Train yourself to bear with equanimity and composure noises which have been startling you heretofore, such as the banging of a suddenly closed door, the dropping of a book or other object, etc. In other words, keep yourself well in hand. The above exercises will be of great assistance to you in getting yourself just where you want. B. The above exercises were given to teach you the art of concentering involuntary muscular movement, thus bringing your body under the control of the voluntary functions. The following exercises are designed to enable you to bring your voluntary muscular movements under the direct control of the will, in other words, to train the mental faculties producing voluntary muscular movement. B1. Sit in front of a table, placing your hands upon the table. The fist clinched and lying with the back of the hand on the table, the thumb being doubled over the fingers. Fix your gaze upon the fist for a while, and then slowly extend the thumb. Begin with your whole attention fixed upon the act, just as if it was the greatest importance. Then slowly extend your first finger, then your second, and so on until they are all open and extended. Then reverse the process, closing first the little finger and continuing the closing until the first is again in its original position, with the thumb closed over the fingers. Repeat with the left hand. Continue this exercise 5 times at a sitting and then increase it to 10 times. This exercise will make you tired, but you must persevere as it is of the importance to you in the direction of training your attention by direction into trivial and monotonous exercises. In addition, it will give you direct control over all your muscular movements. You soon will feel the benefit accruing from these simple and apparently unimportant exercises. Do not fail to keep the attention closely upon the closing and unclosing of the fingers. That is the main point. If you neglect it, you lose the entire benefit of the exercise. B2. This exercise is nothing more or less than the old trick often observed among our country cousins known as twirling the thumbs. Place the fingers of one hand between the fingers of the other hand, leaving the thumbs free. Then slowly twirl the thumbs one over the other with a circular motion. Be sure to keep the attention firmly fixed upon the ends of the thumbs. B3. Place the right hand on the knee, the fingers and thumb closed, with which the exception of the first finger, which must be pointed out in front of you. Then move the fingers slowly from side to side, keeping the attention firmly fixed upon the end of the finger. These exercises may be extended indefinitely, and you may exercise your ingenuity in supplying additional ones under this head. The main idea is that the exercise shall consist of some trivial, familiar, monotonous muscular movement, and that the attention must be kept firmly fixed upon the moving part of the body. Your attention will revolt at the slavery enforced upon it, and will endeavor in every possible way to escape its thraldom. This is where the training comes in, and you must insist that your attention does its work, from beginning to end, and not wander away to more congenial scenes or occupations. Think of yourself as a strict schoolmaster, and of your attention as a playful, fun-loving boy who tires of looking at his books and wishes to steal glances out of the window and door at the more attractive sights on the outside. Your business is to keep the boy at his book, knowing that it will be better for him, although he cannot see it just that way now. Before long, you will notice that you have a much better control over your muscular movements, carriage, and demeanor, and will also observe an increased power of attention and concentering in your everyday affairs, which will be of considerable advantage to you. C. This class of exercises is intended to aid you in concentering your attention upon some material object not connected with yourself. Take some uninteresting object, such as a pencil, and concentrate your entire attention upon it for 5 minutes. Look at it intently. Think of it. Turn it over. Consider it. Think of its uses, its object, of the materials of which it is made, the process of manufacture, etc. Think of nothing else but the pencil. Imagine that your chief object in life is the study of that pencil. Imagine that there exists nothing else in the world but you and the pencil. Only one world, and but 2 things in it, pencil and I. Do not let your attention get away from the pencil, but keep it down to its work. You will realize what a rebellious creature your attention is when you try this exercise, but don't let it get the upper hand of you. It is very tiresome to him, but it is for his own good, so stick with it. When you have conquered the rebellious attention, you will have achieved a greater victory than you now realize. Many a time in afterlife, when you need the closest attention upon some matter before you, you will thank me for putting you on to this exercise. This exercise can be varied each day, always choosing some uninteresting and familiar object upon which to concentrate the attention. Don't select an interesting object, for it requires no effort to concentrate upon that. You need something that will seem like work to the attention. The less interesting the object, the more the work and the better the exercise. The trouble about this exercise is that you will soon run out of material, as the continued concentering of the attention upon interesting objects will, in the end, cause the attention in self-defense to take an interest in the things upon which it concentres. However, when you have reached this stage, you will have but little further need of the exercise, as you then will be able to concentrate your attention upon anything or anybody. The above exercises will be sufficient for your purpose, it being understood that you will extend the several exercises by material supplied by your own invention and ingenuity. You may practice upon something occurring in your everyday work. You will not be at loss for material upon which to practice, now that you have the main idea impressed upon your memory. The exercise given in the preceding lessons can be practiced more intelligently, now that you understand the advantage to be gained by concentering. You will be able to carry the thought better, to direct more energy into suggestions, and into the projection of thought vibrations. Your eye exercises will take on a new phase, and so will the exercises in telepathic volation, etc. You will be able to overcome bad habits and acquire good habits in their place. In short, by the acquirement of the art of concentering, you will be able to do everything better than formerly. You will have acquired a firm control over body and mind, and will find that you are now the master of your inclinations, not their slave. The power gained over yourself will manifest itself in the power to control others. The man who conquers himself has no trouble in impressing his will upon others. Continue the practice of concentering and developing the amenability of the mind to the will, and you will become a very giant compared to men who have not acquired this power. Try your willpower on yourself in different ways until you feel confident that you have won the mastery of self. Be satisfied with nothing else. When you have gained that, the mastery of others is already yours. Lesson 15. Valedictory. I feel that those who have followed me through the preceding lessons must have felt within them the intuitive assurance of the truth contained in the instruction herein given. In a work of this size and character, I can do no more than merely direct the attention of my readers to the great facts underlying the science of the mind, to give them a hint of the great truth, to acquaint them with a few exercises which, if followed conscientiously, will enable them to develop their latent powers. More than this would be beyond the scope of this work, which is intended to give popular instruction in the exercise and use of personal magnetism and psychic influence in the affairs of everyday life. The average reader will rest satisfied with the practical side of the subject and will not feel inclined to enter into the occult phase. To the few who feel an inclination to pursue the subject still further, who would penetrate behind the veil, there are other sources of information open, which I will be pleased to point out to those who may so request. A letter will reach me if addressed in care of the University of Psychic Science, Chicago, Illinois. Without attempting to go further into the subject, I would say that, in my opinion, an intelligent understanding of the laws underlying the science of mind supplies one with a most elevating rule of life and conduct, brings to man a realizing sense of his own individuality, strength and power, a consciousness of the reality and immanence of his real self, the I Am. The recognition of the ego carries with it a sense of new duties and the means of performing them. The student of what is known as the New Thought finds himself surrounded with a mass of literature, much of which consists of both froth and bubbles. Grains of thought are there, but are surrounded by bushels of verbal chaff. The searcher for ideas receives words, words, words. The works on the subject which are really worth the time and trouble of reading are few, and the student, alas, knows not where to find them. Practical, understandable works on this subject are being demanded by many minds, and following the invariable rule which causes the production of the thing which is earnestly demanded, works of this kind are sure to appear. Speed the day. To the student I would say, do not be deluded by isms or leaders. You possess within you the real truth, and it will manifest itself to you in time, developing gradually and naturally as the flower. The recognition of the I am will bring it reward. The small flame within will throw light on all subjects and illumine them. Pursue your way through life earnestly and calmly. Hurry is not haste. Bustle is not energy. Noise is not strength. The man of quiet, calm, earnest, and persistent qualities reaches the goal long before his brother of opposite tendencies. Confidence, expectation, and calm demand is a threefold, mighty dynamic force, which would solve many problems if man but realized it. The wise man uses that which the fool neglects. The stone which the builders rejected becomes the cornerstone of the temple. Do not crawl on your belly like a worm. Do not humble yourself in the dust and call upon heaven to witness what a despicable creature you are. Do not call yourself a miserable sinner, worthy only of eternal damnation. No, 1,000 times no. Rise to your feet, raise your head and face the skies, throw back your shoulders and fill your lungs with nature's ozone. Then say to yourself, I am a part of the eternal life principle. I am created after the divine image. I am filled with the divine breath of life. Nothing can hurt me, for I am a part of the eternal. Go your way, friend, strong in your new resolves, strong in your new-founded strength. Do your duty first to yourself, then to your brethren men. Recognize the brotherhood of man. Realize that all men are your brothers. Pretty poor lot of relations, but brothers for all of that. Do not impose on your brother man, but do not let him impose on you. If you give in to him against your judgment and conscience, you not only hurt yourself, but also injure him. Do not start fights, but let no man smite you with impunity. If a man smite you on one cheek, do not turn to him the other, but do a little smiting on your own account, and smite hard. Do not smite him with hate in your heart. Do not hesitate to forgive him after he has come to. The doctrine of non-resistance is misunderstood. It does not mean that you should be a backboneless creature, a sheep-like, a rabbit-herded specimen of humanity. No, no. When you allow a man to impose on you and wrong you, you are not acting right toward the other man. Duty to him demands that you let him know just where he is at. I am speaking of real aggression or invasion of your rights now. Not of fancied wrongs or mountains made of molehills. That is the other extreme. But do not allow hate to find a lodging place in your heart. Go through the world with the grace of God in your heart and a good strong hickory club in your hand. Don't use the club for offense, never do that, but keep it around to defend yourself with. If you're clad in the armor of a righteous cause, and the world sees that you have self-respect and will stand no nonsense, it will treat you with respect. The dog who maintains a confident, calm demeanor is in but little danger of feeling the boot toe of the passerby. But the white-livered cur who draws himself up and places his tail between his legs that he may present a better aim for the kick, gets the kick. He gets what he expects. What is true of the dog is equally true of the man. If you have followed the advice and instructions contained in this little work, you will not have many tricks aimed at you. But remember, no kicking of dogs on your part. You must be above that. The old writer has summed up man's duty to man in the following words, which should be inscribed in letters of gold over every doorway in the land. Wrong no man, and render unto every man his due. If the above words formed the rule of action and life of men, there would be no need of lawyers, courts, or prisons. Life would then seem one long, sweet song. Try to do your part in bringing about this result. Once more, I caution you not to misuse your newfounded power. Do not drag the gift of the Spirit through the mud. Use it freely, in your own behalf, in every legitimate way, but harm no man by reason of or means of it. If you fail to grasp the meaning of any of the teachings contained in this little work, do not feel discouraged, for it will come to you later. Read over the lessons which seem the most difficult to you, and then place yourself in the relaxed condition of body and mind. Enter the silence, and a new light will break upon you. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. Ask, and you shall receive. And now, friends, we have come to the parting of the ways. We may meet again, but if not, let us part feeling that we are none the worse for this short acquaintance. If I have done you any good, if I have awakened in you new thoughts, hopes, and aspirations, may you make them manifest in actions and results. Our little journey along the banks of the stream has been pleasant to me, and I trust that I have not bored you nor caused you to regret the acquaintance, not a chance acquaintance. You may rest assured, for nothing ever happens. I thank you for your kind attention. Venice. We also have reached the end of the reading of the book titled Personal Magnetism and Psychic Influence by William Walker Atkinson. Hopefully you have enjoyed it as much as I have enjoyed reading it to you. Please do hit the like button. If you know of anyone that could benefit from this content, share this video with your friends and family. And also leave a comment. Let me know you were here. What was your takeaway? And subscribe to the channel.